LGBTQ plus seniors fear discrimination when searching for housing. Watch this.
Stonewall House in Brooklyn is an LGBTQ-friendly senior housing development. SAGE, an advocacy organization for LGBTQ elders, which created Stonewall House, says it is the largest such development in the country. 71-year-old Deidre Nottingham was one of the first to move in.
I said, finally, a house for us to stay in and not be judged, you know? I've been waiting a long time, over 50 years, for something like this.
For decades, she says she faced housing discrimination and at points homelessness due to her sexual orientation. It began at 14 when she came out as lesbian and her family kicked her out on the street. It just got worse from there.
When I was younger, me and my girlfriend, they wouldn't rent to us. And it was hard because we couldn't go back home. Our family didn't want us. And it's hard when they calling you a freak or a weirdo. I was called that lots of time by my own family members. So it's very hard when you don't have no support. And there wasn't any groups out there where you could go to. We were lost.
Nottingham says before coming to Stonewall House, she lived in 8 other residential long-term care facilities over the last 12 years. Each included some level of neglect or hostility by staff and other elderly residents.
Many LGBTQ plus seniors who live in long-term care communities and senior housing are fearful of being mistreated, refused care, neglected, or abused, with some even recloseting themselves for safety. In many states, it's still legal to deny access to housing and public resources, and a few long-term care facilities have policies to protect residents based on sexual orientation and or gender identity. SAGE reports that more than 1/3 of LGBTQ plus seniors fear having to recloset themselves when seeking housing due to discrimination and violence. According to SAGE, gay and trans seniors face more obstacles than their straight counterparts. They're more socially isolated because they are less likely to have children and are more likely to live alone or to be estranged from their families.
I don't want to go back in the closet when I'm old. I don't wanna. No.
Then, we have to prepare for it. And it's really challenging because, especially in the state of Florida and here in South Florida, it's, there are so many thousands of people on waiting lists for affordable housing. It took 7 years for the Pride Center to build the residences at Equality Park.
And it's limited space, of course,
very limited space. So this is a huge challenge for those of us working in the LGBT
and more in Florida probably than many
anywhere.
other states. But I'm thinking now, those of us in a certain generations, because we don't have children for the most part. I was thinking when I was reading the story earlier and how it's going to evolve as time goes on, because so many in our community are having children now. Mm-hmm. So there will come a time when the issue of not having children and/or families will have evolved and will change. I'll be curious to see that. I probably won't be around to see it.
But the discrimination will still be there. Like I've told my wife on countless occasions, we're not leaving the house to the kids. Screw the kids. Let them figure it out themselves. We're going to sell it and go find an LGBTQ retirement place for both of us to go live out our time, But the fact that there is limited places that do actually offer that to us, and the fact that we could be discriminated against at other places, that makes me super sad.
One of the things that I've seen, especially among older lesbians, is trying to create communities in different places. And I'm on several lists where people are identifying large properties, big houses. And in some places, they're like so inexpensive. You buy a mansion.
Like a halfway house for old people?
No, it's like the Golden Girls, but bigger.
Whoa, with a lanai.
Yeah.
I think the story is super sad. I think of my own mother who actually lives alone. Obviously, she's not a lesbian or gay or anything like that. But it's that I know. But it really is a sad story, because seeing people at that age and having that difficulty finding housing, they're alone most of the time. They don't have friends or family, like we've talked about. So really, how do we find a solution to this issue, right? So who do we have to contact? Who do we have to lobby to really find real change to this discrimination issue in this housing industry? And like you said, the South Florida market is out of control.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of abuse that goes on with seniors in general.
Yeah.
So we can only then imagine how much
Everybody
worse it will be for LGBTQ seniors.
Al, you're close to that age. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, and take your bony hands off me, Grandma. And you know what's interesting about it? You make a joke, but and this is something that is front and center for me, and really it should be front and center for everyone because everyone's going to face this. The issue of seniors for LGBT is a serious situation because this is not a solution that's going to quick to happen. Because you think about if you're 55 years old, let's say we see dramatic improvements to acceptance of LGBT in America, which we have over the last 20 years. But if you're 55 years old, you don't have that amount of time before you get to this place where housing is so critically important to you. So this is a time bomb. Every year is a time bomb. Somebody turning 60, somebody turning 65, somebody turning 70. All of the reporting that we do at Queer News Tonight shows we started this broadcast as Q News Tonight. The reason we started this broadcast is because we found that, or we thought that people would find the use of queer would be offensive to them. We have been in Queer News Tonight for almost a year. Do you know who still finds Queer News Tonight offensive? Older
Really?
LGBTQ people.
Well, it was used as...
Wait, let me finish my thought. It's a situation where they reject queer because they... not so much self-hate, but it could be, but they reject from a standpoint of they knew the time that they had to be in the closet. So they're 60 years old, they're 65 years old, they're 70 years old, and they can't come out of the closet. And using the word queer is negative for them. This story is incredibly sad because it indicates that they feel like that they, through this survey, have to make the choice to recloset themselves. Those words bring hair up on the back of my neck because you're in a situation where you have to decide, am I going to live and have some reasonable experience in my final years, or I'm going to be authentic? And they're choosing, I just must live. This is a very important story for us to tell. And Nora, you ask, from my standpoint, the most important question. What can we do? We've just done it. We need to start talking about it. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.